Hi, welcome to another Refine Code video. Today we want to talk about how to retain highlights on digital to look like film. As we all know, film is notorious for having the most beautiful highlights that rarely get blown out and retain a lot of detail. But before we get started, I want you to click the red subscribe button down below and the little bell up top to get notifications when we have new videos. This is a gorgeous engagement session by Caroline Tran, and we're going to use the presets that we collaborated with her on. To get started, I went ahead and edited an image on the left that is a typical edit. This is what you do. You click the preset, adjust exposure a little bit, etc. This is the new edit on the right that we're going to try to achieve. As you can see, we've retained a lot more detail in the sky. We've also gained our ocean back and a little more detail in the sand below. It looks very film-esque, and you can even adjust this if you like it a little lighter and airier. But we're going to show you how to do that real quick. So let's just go ahead and reset this image. And I like to get side by sides because I feel like it really helps you guys get a good idea of what's happening as we edit. So now that we've straightened our horizon, this is where we started. Ideally, we would suggest underexposing this a little bit or getting proper exposure. This looks a little overexposed, but because they're Fuji GFX files, the file actually retains a lot of information, and we're going to gain a lot of the sky back. Let's get started. So first we're going to run Patina. And like I said, this is about where most people would probably stop their edit for a nice light and airy look. We're just going to push it a little further. What I'm going to go ahead and do is bring down the exposure quite a bit. This is obviously just at sunset or just after sunset. We've got a little warm glow, so I'm thinking the sun is still at the horizon maybe. And we're going to pull back the contrast a little, just so these rocks and his pants don't get too dark. And instead of, what normally we would lift exposure is we're going to lift from the shadows here. I'm watching her skin. You see only a few things are lifting. And there we go. I would run grain on this and call it a day. Now, if you like a really light and airy look, you want to avoid blowing out, but you could lift this a little more. And you can see we still have plenty of sky and stuff here. Because this was overexposed, this data is gone, but we've retained a lot of the data here. And there you go. So let's go ahead and move on to the next image. And there we go. Let's see, Patina. And let's check our horizon. I think we're pretty close on this one. Go ahead and get our side by side back. And a lot of people would stop here, or they would lift the exposure to get them, a little lighter so they're not dark. This is gorgeous. It's not bad, but we want to retain a little more of this ocean and a little more of the sky because of the tone curves that we have built into our presets. You can see we've already retained a little more information into the image just with one click of the preset, even when we overexposed it a little. So what I'm going to do is actually get it back down to where it was shot, because this is actually shot a little more ideal. And you can see we have a lot more information in the ocean. We've gained a little bit of the bubbling from the surf coming back and a little more sky information. So same thing as I did before, I'm going to pull back the exposure or contrast just a little bit, and to bring a little more light into them and into these rocks back here, I'm just going to lift in the shadows. Let's go ahead and warm this up just a tad so we get a little bit of that sunset feel. And same thing, run grain, and there you go. You can see that this looks very digital and this looks less digital because we've got this soft highlighting that we generally get when we're dealing with film scans. And our next image is this image here, and you can see there's not a lot of blowout on this image. We have a little bit to this area right in here, but I just wanted to show you because this is slightly backlit on how it would look. So first we're going to run Patina, and instead of doing this to get it light and airy, I'm going to leave it back at the exposure it was shot at. I'm going to pull back the contrast and just lift a little from the shadows to kind of lighten things up a little. And I'm going to take a little bit of the magenta out because we kind of like this soft muted tones of the image. And there you go. And you can see we have all the information in here. We got a little more information back here. more information in the sky. We can actually see a little bit of the clouds in the background, and the ocean information came back in these areas. Last one. Now this one is a little more of a silhouette image. And let's straighten our horizon real quick. So once we run Patina, most people would start doing this. We're going to lift and lift and lift until they get where we want them to be. Go ahead and adjust our coloring, which is not bad. It's pretty, but I would like to retain a little more of this information in here. So I'm going to pull this back down to where we were. I'm going to get a little bit of an exposure in there, and I'm going to back off the contrast just a little. I feel like Fuji GFX files have a little more contrast in them, so I tend to find that I pull it back quite a bit on those files in particular. And then I'm going to lift in the shadows. I don't want to lift too much because I feel like part of the beauty of this image is that it's low sunset, and I don't want to make it look like it was full daylight. You know, I want to have a little bit of that mood to it, so I'm not pulling it up too much. And same as before, take a little bit of the magenta out, because I feel like this had quite a bit of it due to the reflection of the rocks and such. And then there you go. And you can see, look how much sky we got. You still have the feel of that low setting sun. You have the warmth in their skin from the warm setting sun. We retained even a little bit of the color in this background here. The surface here, rocks are still nice and clear. And there you go. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please comment down below and let us know what other videos you would like to see. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.